Do you have any tips for drivers?
So there's a bunch of tips I can give. I guarantee there's a bunch on your channel as well that are amazing pieces of advice. My number one tip, if I had to give one, because also there's a bunch of them, is analytics. That's by far, in terms of, besides signing up with both apps, which I know I mentioned, what I suggest, and this is actually what I did when I first started driving, is I actually had like a spreadsheet and I track when I make the most amount of money and when I make the least amount of money. And I think the best advice I have for a lot of drivers, among a lot of things, is just not drive aimlessly and always try to look at a lot of the analytics, because that's where you can make the most amount of money in your area. Regardless of your location, some areas are going to have better stuff going on or not as good stuff going on, right? For lack of better explanation. I think a good tool as well, even if you don't drive for them, is Lyft. So on the Lyft app, they actually have a couple of different features where they show you maybe like the best day to drive, the best time. They show you events in your area. You can make a killing doing an event, like say Wednesday at 9 p.m. Probably not going to make an insane amount of money. But if there's like a Lady Gaga concert, it's going to be probably a gold mine, right? So even if you don't drive for Lyft, you can still pull up the app, look at all the analytics on the app in terms of what they're suggesting, maybe peak hours, good times to drive, events, et cetera, et cetera. And then if you want to go drive for Uber, go for it. I think just looking at when you drive and how much money you're making is the way that I, especially when I first started driving, started to make more money, just because I was like, okay, I drove during this period of time. It sucked. Not going to do it again. I'm now going to only drive during like these periods of time.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's some really good advice. I actually never thought about like logging and tracking everything.
Yeah.
Like the first tip you said, that's really smart though, because then yeah, you can like actually see like all the best times and days and everything, like areas.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a weird, like almost like nerdy pro tip, having like, I literally had like Excel pulled up with like different like columns and whatnot. But like that taught me in Boston, like, okay, this is a good time to drive. This is not a good time to drive. And I think over time, it just allowed me to be like, all right, I'm going to treat it, like going to work. I know a lot of drivers do this, where I realized morning, evening commutes, Friday and Saturday nights. Also realized, a couple other pro tips. I like to call these the pregame hours, which is something I didn't expect would exist until I started keeping track. Is sometimes I found, like, say on a Friday and Saturday night, typically from like 5 or 6 p.m. till about 9 p.m. I found was like the cutoff, so to speak, for pregame hours. The surges can be pretty high, because what are people doing? They're going to their friend's place. They haven't started drinking yet, but they're going to get ready. They're going, like, say, out to dinner, and that's where they're starting. They're going to their friend's place, but they haven't started drinking yet, and they're just going there to get ready and everything. And that was a good time to drive because, one, sometimes the surges would be high. Sometimes, depending on the night, sometimes even higher than deep into the night, just because I think not a lot of drivers are on the road or whatever. But also, too, I know a lot of drivers, and understandably so, are like, I don't want to drive around drunk people. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with people puking in my car,
Yeah,
potentially, whatever. And those like were a great period of time. Another one is Saturday and Sunday mornings. You might still have someone puking your car, to say that as like a side note, but those are potential times as well, because people wake up, they crash at their friend's place, they crash wherever they're going out, or they want to, like, say, go out for a brunch or Sunday fun day to grab some mimosas or whatever. That was like another great time to drive. So like, there's a lot of cool pockets that you can time out well that do make a lot of money as well.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't even think about that either, but like, yeah, whenever I'm like gonna go out, if I know people are gonna be drinking, like we obviously Uber, so then we don't have the car, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.